Welcome to Massive Frontiers Part 1 video tutorial on the in-game windowing system. So the first thing we're going to do is log into the game. Initially what you'll notice is that the windowing environment in this game is a lot different than your typical game. It's menu driven, and in this particular demo we're going to go through the different pieces of functionality that make up the windowing environment and how you can get around, navigate through it, and work on items. In this particular version of the front end, it's basically bare bones day one build, and all we have accessible are bug request search, enhancement request search, and a support request search. So when you look at the top of the screen, you'll see all these pull downs. Eventually, you'll see in-game functionality as well. These list all the pieces of functionality that you can actually execute in-game. When you select a piece of functionality that actually ends with a search, you're actually searching against things. So in this particular case, I'm going to hit on enhancement request search. And immediately what you'll see is a search window that pops up. This is going to be typical whenever you're actually searching through things. Maybe you want to take a look at all the available tech in the game, or whatever the case may be. There's a repeatable pattern here. First off, in the top section, on top of your little spreadsheet looking result set, you will see filters. You can actually click on an item in the filter and it will filter down your results. You can also highlight the item, click on delete or backspace, tab out, and your filter is cleared. Filters are also applicable at the column level. So I can, for example, click on impact and say I only want to see non-emergency items. At the column level filters, you'll see a little X that you can click to clear them. So once you've ran your search on something, you can actually find what you're looking for, click on it, and if you right click, in a lot of cases you'll see extra functionality. In this case, if you want to just view it in read-only mode, we can hit view and the item will be retrieved and you can view all its details. But this is a read-only view, you cannot edit it. If you want to edit an item, or in this case we have a feature request here that was created, I can either right click on it and hit select, or I can just double click, which is what I just did, and it brings up the item into the middle part of your screen, which is your work area. So in this case, it's a feature request that was submitted by Joshua S. Barnett. We can actually view the actual user. It's got a description, and he actually opened up a ticket for it, which means that it's something that will eventually be worked on. With all of these requests, if you're in edit view, not in the view read-only view that we saw before, in edit view you can actually attach notes to it. So let's add a note and just put a little description. This is a test note. And notes are effectively, feedback or other pieces of information against the request. Once I hit OK, it's actually saved right here. I can view it, bring it back up. I can double click on it to edit it, or I can, in this case what we're going to do is right click and delete. All of the right click items are also available as actions up on the top. This bar, you will see a repeated pattern in every one of these sub panels. There's a toolbar that will appear up here, and it'll actually give you the capability of running some actions against this screen. So in this case, we just want to delete this note because, well, obviously this is the live system. In your summary screen, whenever you're looking at a complex object, in the summary screen, it also has actions that can be taken on the whole object. That toolbar is always underneath your pull downs. So in this case, this whole enhancement request can be deleted. I can create a ticket, or I can save it. And again, this is a repeatable pattern for everything that you're going to see in the game. So for example, if I want to look at a sector map, I actually see it as a tab in my center display. And you would think, well, that's strange. What if I want to look at that sector map in a window, maybe on a different computer screen? Well, you can right click on these tabs down here. And in this case, I can click on floating, and it actually turns it into a window, which you can move to an alternate screen if you want. Now, if you want to place it back into your workspace, you can just right click on the tab and click on docking. Now, if you have multiple items open or multiple work screens open at the same time, let's just simulate that by clicking on a couple of requests here. I now have 3 items that I'm looking at. It might be multiple sectors. It might be one item is my sector view. The other item might be another enemy sector view. The other item might be my space station. Whatever the case might be. You can organize them in groups. So, for example, I can right-click on this one and create a new horizontal group. So now I have 2 sets. And I can maybe add this as in this group, or I can actually click on it and drag it. I can actually drag items together. I can also do this. I can take this tab and let's say I want to see these two side by side. I could take this tab and create a vertical group. And now I'm comparing 2 views. And this is very useful if you're comparing builds or you want to compare 2 or more objects together. And I can just bring it back by just clicking on it and dragging it to this side. If you hit the X to close it, you're actually closing the item, but at the same time you're saving it. So hitting this save button up on top or hitting a little X on the bottom is the same action. So now let's walk through this search grid. Every time you see a search grid, there's also another piece of functionality. On the top, just like when you're looking at a single item in the search grid, you will have buttons to do other things against this grid. So in this particular case, I can add a new enhancement request. So if I click on that, what it'll do is it'll bring up a dialog box where I can add a new enhancement request. So let's just say this is a non-emergency. Now whenever you see pull downs with these plus and minuses next to them, that means that there are pre-filled values here, but if I don't see something that I want, I can actually hit an X, also hit the plus, and add my own. So I'm going to add my own category called test category. Now that I've added it to this enhancement request, all subsequent enhancement requests will actually see it in their pull downs. And we'll just put some junk data in here. And click on subtype, expected completion date. Now, all of the red items are identified as required. If you do not fill in those fields, it will not go to the next step. So we just put some test data in here. We'll hit OK. And the system will auto-generate a new enhancement request. We can, if we want to actually bring this request out into the development team or to identify that someone needs to work on it, we could create a ticket for the request.